Hi, I'm Lily Phillips. I am England's self-proclaimed biggest slag.
I'm excited. I am going to do a world record of 1,000 men in 24 hours.
1,000 men in one day. 100 men in one day. When did this become cool and even desirable to watch? What the hell?
Be a lady of leisure.
I mean, I'm
your
a
bag
lady
will
while I'm
fill up.
pregnant.
As you can tell from today's title and episode, that we will be discussing Bonnie Blue, Lily Phillips. We're going to start with Lily Phillips. We're going to discuss a little bit of their backstory, how they got to prominence, why are they prominent, what does this tell us about society, what can we learn from some of their interviews and snippets that they've done.
And what about to all your family members that are queuing out there?
Hi.
Hi, buddy.
You okay? Who's going first then?
Me.
You're going first.
Are you to blame for watching it, for creating this monster? Am I to blame for commentating on it, giving it more attention?
Anytime there's a hate comment, I use it to promote my next video. Like the current petition to get me cancelled is the promotion for my OF video. The more taboo they're making it sound, the more it boosts me.
We'll get into all of that and more, but we need to get some admin out of the way. Please like, comment, share and subscribe in order for the channel to grow. It's going to need your support. It's going to need your subscriptions. If you are someone, it's the first time here or you've seen it a few times and you're like, you're annoying, hit that notification bell in order to not miss out on an episode. Please, what are you waiting for? I know some of you are not subscribing. I know. Do it. Go on. I'm waiting.
You found out you had AIDS.
There's no more I can
What
do.
would you do if you found
can
out you had
take like
AIDS?
blockers and things like that.
No, but what would you do if you found out you had AIDS tomorrow? Because one of them condoms bust, yeah? Because you're thinking, oh yeah, risk and reward. But what would you do, yeah?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah?
Yeah.
If tomorrow, because you get tested every 2 weeks, yeah?
Yeah.
Tomorrow they phone you and they said, oh, Lily, we need you to come in, yeah? You've got woo. How would you feel about life?
You can go and take medication.
Oh, so you'd be cool with that, having AIDS?
No, but it's the consequences of my own actions.
I want to first establish who Lily Phillips is, where she came from. She's from Derbyshire. And she discusses her upbringing and how she grew up in a parental home. She's from a two-parent background.
Hi, I'm Lily Phillips. I am England's self-proclaimed biggest slag. I'm from Derbyshire. I'm 23. And that's kind of all you need to know about me.
Is that all I need to know?
Yeah.
Primary school, how was you in primary school though?
Good. Yeah.
It was your mum and dad together?
Yeah.
But they were together?
Yeah.
Married, everything?
Yeah.
Through primary school?
Yeah.
Secondary school?
Yeah. They're still together.
How was you in secondary school?
Good.
Like, academic?
Not the smartest, but not the stupidest.
Okay, was you promiscuous?
No.
So you weren't promiscuous in school?
No, not till like about 17, 18 when I lost virginity. When I think I started OnlyFans when I was like 18 turning 19. And then I started porn about 11 months ago.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
But why did you start straight away as soon as you broke your virginity? Like, did you just, liked
I
it
just
straight
loved
away?
it, yeah.
Straight
Just
away?
knew it was for me.
Was it with your boyfriend or?
Yeah. I didn't start OnlyFans with my boyfriend. I broke up with him and then started OnlyFans.
Okay.
Mm.
And as you can see, she's, from the face of it anyway, is someone that is quite, at the very best, short with discussing her past. She says that there's nothing too, absent from the norm about her past. However, I think when you look into her and you look into her body language, you look into how short she is, you can see someone that's clearly quite avoidant and afraid of discussing her past for maybe a number of reasons. And some of you may be already watching this and wondering, how on earth could she have done 100 men in one day? Not morally, I mean physically, and she will let you know.
Yesterday.
It was 101 in the end, yeah.
Yesterday?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Trust me, I feel like I've been hit by a bus.
And another thing you're probably wondering is, what was the impact? What was the toll on her?
With someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Just take.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah.
The awkward interaction of like you feeling pressure to have to make them come if like you haven't spent enough time with them and feeling like you didn't give them a good time because like they only got 2 minutes. It's hard, I think, having the interactions with them when they're like, what, you're not going to make me finish, I've come all this way, like kind of like guilt tripping me a little bit.
However, she has done her best, her level best, to remove herself from that moment of, I believe, of where she's been authentic on camera. I mean, I guess sleeping with 100 men is authentic on camera, and soon to be 1,000.
You know what, I'm just a people pleaser and it was making me feel awkward, the kind of conversation. That's kind of all really. It wasn't necessarily this like massive thing. I just wanted to please these guys and I felt kind of bad that I invited them to this thing and, you know, I couldn't do that for them. But yeah.
That separation of that moment, her using words like detach.
I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the 30th, you know, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're gonna do this, and like it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember, and that's it.
Her body language seeming to be emotionless, numbing herself to the realities of what happens, is why I believe a lot of what Lily Phillips is, and the reason she's behaving the way she's behaving, potentially comes from some sort of trauma, especially when she describes why she went for the 100 men.
So was the 100 to like achieve a record or anything like that?
Well, just 1, 2, for some good content. And also it was more of a challenge for myself. I've never 100 guys in a day, so I thought, why not?
We know the disturbing aspect of attention-seeking behaviour, what that could potentially be rooted in, coupled with the extreme promiscuity. Now, I want to make this clear before we step into this episode more, because I am going to be quite frank with you lot about how I feel about her behaviour, which is, I just think it's
kind of slutty.
It's just a joke. But I'm not trying to knock sex work. You got to do what you got to do. I don't knock trappers. I'm not going to knock a sex worker. However, the extremities in which she's going to, the way she discusses the lack of authenticity around her past, in my opinion, and the few times she's shown genuine emotion, genuine authenticity, she's tried to remove herself as quickly as possible from that. For notable reasons, she is someone that is trying to emotionally detach. You can see the numbness in her eyes. And I do think some of it is because she hasn't been interviewed by probably the right person. A lot of people were very critical of Spray and his approach. And I understand that Spray is not always the best person for the kind of person she is. But I preferred Young Spray's approach to Russell Brand's approach, which was just really preaching. I don't think I can really use a clip of Russell Brand's interview of her, because his stuff is just copyrighted off, and I want you lot to be able to see it. I'm not trying to get copyrighted here, but I definitely think some of the reason why we haven't got a true understanding of what she is and where she's coming from is because she hasn't, in my opinion, been interviewed by the right person. I rate Spray, I rate his music, I rate his podcast, but I don't think that was his best. And Russell Brand, who I used to love, I don't know what has happened to him since that allegations come out. He just seems to have been, I don't know, he just seems like he's joined a cult, if I'm being quite frank with you. His eyes, he looks lost. He's not the same man. However, I'm digressing, which will happen a lot in this episode.
Because dissociation is when we become so overwhelmed, our nervous system becomes so emotionally triggered that we remove ourselves from the environment. So it can feel like we're watching everything play out like a movie, or we remove ourselves, like our focus or our consciousness from ourself. So it's like, I'm like almost watching myself do things like through third person, almost like it can feel very bizarre. We can feel very spaced out.
The reason I placed this clip about avoiding behavior, emotional detachment behavior, where that's rooted in, where that comes from, is for you to understand where I'm coming from. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I did study psychology. I've done many modules on psychology, so I can pick up on some of the subtle cues there. And again, I am definitely foreshadowing, guessing that this is where this is coming from, and that's because promiscuity and promiscuous behavior is typically linked.
That the truth about
childhood sexual abuse or sexual assault at any age, the most common response is actually to be hypersexual. And so I just want to put that out there, that you are not in the minority, you're actually in the majority. So know that you're not alone. And I know a lot of you out there watching this video who haven't gone through this are thinking, isn't that like the opposite? Isn't that counterintuitive? Why would someone who was harmed sexually as a child or at some point in their life then turn around and be hypersexual? Why would they do that? Why would they hurt themselves with the very thing that hurt them in the beginning? And there are many reasons that we do it. The first is that it's a way to regain control, to take it back. Many of my clients have told me that they will be hypersexual. They'll put themselves in dangerous sexual situations because it's their way of saying, it's my body, I decide, I do what I want. And it's almost like they get to reverse the role. Instead of feeling like someone has control over them and can do whatever they want to them, and even them saying no isn't stopping it, they get to choose and they get to have as much sex as they want. The second reason many people become hypersexualized is validation. Imagine if we were sexually abused as children. We were raised in that environment. Through that time in our formative years, we were shown that maybe the only way we got one-on-one attention was with sex. Maybe the only time we were really told that we were loved was through sex. Maybe that's how we knew we were worthwhile and we were important, and all of those things. Maybe that was something we were told while we were being sexually abused. So you can see how if that's what's happening in our formative years, even into our teens, we will associate love, support, validation with sex.
I'm not trying to accuse her of having childhood SA either. But what I'm trying to say is that this behavior, in its abnormality, the way she's playing it down, I think it's inconsistent and dishonest to viewers, to anyone that you're blogging to just play it down like it's normal. That is a cry for help. That level of attention seeking is a cry for help. Yes, of course, I condemn the men that are going there too. I think they're wrong. However, I think the way we are discussing it is problematic too. Yes, the men that are getting involved, they're too much absorbed from guilt in one sense. And I do think sometimes the debate around Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue, who I'll be getting to soon, too often is either people trying to, I don't know if it's some sort of genjutsu, gaslighting, mind control thing going on, saying, well, it's sexual liberation, they have the right, I wouldn't do it, but it is what it is. Trying to paint that as some sort of liberation, sleeping with 100 men is women's right and women's liberation. It's gaslighting to the most extreme degree. And the people that are just simply hoe shaming are A, taking it away from the women, and also not providing in my opinion, the proper context in which to understand this behavior, which can stop the behavior repeating itself, because they don't really care, in my opinion, those people who are just hoe shaming, about the victims and potential victims. They care more about policing and controlling behavior that they deem morally unacceptable. Hence why I'm really ticked off at how some of the journalists, bloggers and other commentators have discussed this. There are good ones out there, we want to put it out there, but there's not enough.
Talking, as we've mentioned during the show today, your salary, what you earn at the moment is upwards, you've let me know, of £600,000 a month.
Yes.
I would change careers for that kind of money,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure I'd do what you do. Why have you decided that this is the route you're going to go down? Is it just about the money?
So it started off as just the money, because I didn't understand pleasure in sex as such. I didn't understand the educational side of things. So yes, it started off purely around money.
So you're making 100 grand a month.
Yeah.
Is that the highest you've ever made in 1 month?
What now?
Okay, so now it's a lot more, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we talk about how much you make now a month?
I won't say, I'll say it's still 6 figures.
Many people will turn to the money that Lily Phillips, Bonnie Blue makes, as if that excuses shaming and eroding your body in the way that they're doing. I'm not talking specifically about sex work. I'm talking about the 100 men. But even saying that, many women have come out and spoke about the truth of OF.
How would you feel about your daughter doing sex work?
Oh, I would be supportive if my daughter chose to do anything with her life as long as we're not hurting anyone.
I did OnlyFans, and I am ashamed at the behavior I've done. I thought it was cool, but all these females that you guys look up to in the industry, the media pushes you, they're all miserable.
Girls who are like 17, who literally when they're about to turn 18 are promoting it, being like, hey, my 18th birthday, this is about to drop. Like, that's crazy and kind of disturbing.
My mental health since I've started this has just slowly been on such a decline. I feel a little bit dead inside.
You see these OnlyFans creators and in people's Instagram bios, they'll be advertising, I'm in the top 1%. And I'm like, so you're sucking and fucking for $3,000?
There are women that try to sign women up just to get a referral from them. Wait, there's a referral program through it?
To sign...
No. No fucking serious?
Yes.
No.
OF OnlyFans. It's not the lucrative business that you think it is. I mean, I find it quite funny that we treat it as if it's some sort of lucrative business because 1% of people make a lot of money in it, and if 1% of people are making a lot of money in it, it's an outlier. And as you can see from the clip, they have to become more and more extreme to garner attention, which will play into other narratives I'll speak about later. But if you have to become more and more extreme, stray yourself more and more from your own moral line. I guess morality moves throughout time, but this is degraded. And what is the future of OF? We will never truly know. But not enough discussion is around OF and OnlyFans is what I'm saying, and its long-term prospects, and if it's a safe environment for these content creators who have to become more and more extreme for it to garner attention and financial feedback. And I just worry about the psychology of some of the people in it, again typically of the psychology of women that enter sex work.
In the adult space as of 2024. I gave up doing all public appearances in the adult space as of 2024 because the parasocial incel relationships just got too heavy.
What do you mean? We gotta break that down a little.
So, there was a time where each show a guy or two would come in really scare you, but now they linger from show to show because they find you on all the platforms, you block them, they set up new and so this constant kind of thing happening, right? Because the amount of content people are watching now is much different than what we had ever expected when we created it. We didn't know it would be a daily, so you don't go into that space of your mind daily, and it just got super weird.
So it's creeps. It's not. I thought you were talking about performer-wise.
No, I'm talking about fans. Fans that have gone too far, like the fan that appeared in Sophia Rain's home. It is such a constant, and it's more now than it even was then.
Some of the misconceptions are that the men and women in the industry are genuinely happy. That I've heard things from other men that say that the men in the industry are basically living out every man's dream, right? Or that, the women are genuinely orgasming every scene and they're enjoying everything that they see. But I think what people fail to realize is that these people are paid actors and actresses. Just because you see them enjoying something on film, you don't see the tears that were maybe shed afterwards. You don't see the bruises all over the woman's body after an abusive scene and her crying and feeling like if she hadn't done the scene, she wouldn't have gotten her paycheck. Most people don't see the brokenness behind it, they see the pretend smiles. And
I believe we're putting them in more vulnerable spaces under the guise of they have control because they're the ones putting out the content. I wish there was a little bit more of a support frame and network for them. Probably one of the more worrying moments about when she discussed or tried to explain away her crying was that she said, I'm just a people pleaser, and she was upset she didn't get to please people.
But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? If I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, But yeah. I think that was kind of the hard part, is conversing with them and when they'd kind of be we've only had 2 minutes or 3 minutes and you said 5 on the message.
Did someone say that to you?
Yeah. And obviously it just makes me feel so bad.
Do you think you should feel bad about that?
I guess when you've promised something to people who support you, it's kind of hard to let them down.
But it's up to you, right? When
Yeah.
Have you even processed, do you think, what's happened?
Not yet. God, I won't forget this day, Jesus.
You saw that clip from the documentary where moments after the 100 Men in One Day. I'm afraid and worried about people who are more susceptible, who may be on those other lines of mental health where we discussed leads to sexual promiscuity, especially in women. She's almost giving out the message, that she was afraid to say no. She couldn't say no. And imagine how dangerous that is. Now, I don't want to act like I'm running away from it. She has walked back that statement many a times. Let's not act like that's not a potential reality. What we really need is someone who's a good educator.
But then as I got into it and as I educated myself in the industry, not only did I realise how much pleasure I received from it, but also how much there's a missing gap of educational, content online.
Right, you have a very specific niche, don't you?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So, barely legal, 18-year-olds. Because as I started my content, I realised it was not necessarily relatable to the average person. And I wanted to make my content relatable. I'm just a girl, I'm relatable, I'm sort of the girl next door vibes. However, that does not portray online if I'm doing these rough, over-the-top scenes. And I want people to be able to watch my videos and be able to imagine themselves in it and, connect with it.
How old are you?
25.
Bonnie Blue. She's claiming that she's different to other women online who are OnlyFans creators. She's claiming that this barely legal gimmick was just given to her.
I think the issue that people have with you specifically is the fact that you use terms like barely legal. You say that you're babysitting for kids, I think is the word.
No, I've never used babysitting.
Sorry, babysitting for adults. You did in a podcast with Lottie Moss.
But it's like the barely legal, that's what the media gave me. And the media like to villainize
But you also
women.
now...
The media like to villainize
I've listened to your own... I've listened to your own words.
No, of course. But now I'll educate you on the true story of it. There is no content online for 18-year-olds or even people that are new to sex. You go from at school, which you learn about how to get pregnant, basically, how to have safe sex. But then they go from watching content online, which is rough. It's schoolgirls dressed, working with adult content creators, which say, oh no, I don't want this. It's then led into a very rough scene, which is choking, slapping, hair pulling. So are we only wanting our sons or the younger generation to watch that and try and perform that in a bedroom? Because that's dangerous for women.
I think you're misunderstanding.
Now you guys tell me, and I'm being dead serious, do you think sleeping with 100 men and 1,000 men in a day is educational? No, if you said yes, you can click off the video. Don't mind you leaving. Especially if you watched this far, thanks for staying. But I'm probably with the majority. It's not.
You just got some little slut buddies.
And let's call it what it is. The fact that this is being entertained, that sleeping with 18-year-olds as a grown woman, and she brags that she'll do it into her 30s, is being entertained as educational, even though people have pushed back and watched it and said that her corn is no different to other people's corns that she claims is too aggressive. The reason this conversation is being entertained is because of white privilege.
You can tell you're losing, so you're making it about race. No, this is real.
I don't want to make it a black and white thing. That's not the purpose of this episode. Any ethnicity that wasn't white wouldn't have this conversation entertained.
Not the epitome of white privilege in the United States of America.
We have become so fixated on the language of diversity, the language of fairness, the language of feminism, which none of them inherently, I have a problem with, that we can't call out nonsense.
It's jack what you're saying. There's another word for it, but it's an obscenity. This is just bull.
That is a false moral equivalency. There is nothing super educational about sleeping with 100 men. Nothing educational about sleeping with 1,000 men. Call it what it is. That's some slut bunny-ish.
So you use the status of just even saying I'm into porn to be able to be a free slut butt?
All right, we got to cut the crap. I'm not here for that. Hers, Bonnie Blue, unlike Lily, who I think is somewhat coming from a place of trauma, coming from a place of hurt. Even when she discusses her ex-partner, you can see the dismissiveness about it, and she is afraid to engage in any emotion that has any sort of depth to it.
A year after I lost my virginity, that's when I started OnlyFans. But I'd been broken up with my boyfriend for quite a bit. He was...
Do you know what this...
As well, being in a relationship is so, mentally draining. It takes up so much of your brain space to, even... what are you doing tonight? Or just
but with me,
thinking about them all the time.
It's just exactly. Where you it is mentally draining still.
Yeah, you've got so much more focus when you're single.
It is mentally draining still.
I think it depends on the relationships you're having.
Any relationship is mentally draining. I don't think it depends.
It should be. If it's not,
then that's mad because I know what she's saying. Like you're just thinking too much all the time about the person, like where you or there. It's one or the other. You're where you or there onto you, where you, and it's all just mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
No, I agree. Maybe that's because we've been in like toxic relationships and shit.
But Bonnie Blue is calculated, smart, and intelligent. And the way she discussed how her parents reacted.
And I'm just going to say, that picture we showed.
Yes.
Now, who's in that picture? Is that your mum?
No, that's me.
That's you. I'm sorry, I can't see from wherever. But it was your mum that helped make the sign. So
yes.
You've created, there we are, there's your mum. You've created a family business.
Yes.
And you're kind of, I suppose, do you look after your family? Do you take them on nice holidays?
100%, yeah, like it's changed my life and it's changed my family's life for the better. And I want to, if I'm having a good day, I want them to have a good day.
So how did they find out about it? Did you tell them? Did you sit them down? And because just putting myself in your situation, I cannot imagine sitting down and having a conversation like that with my mum and dad.
100%. So no, I was always going to tell them that the video got leaked very quickly, and I was sort of only a week into it at this point. So I was always going to tell them, but I wanted to understand it better myself before I could sit them down and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, here's the reasons why. To start with, they was a bit gutted and was like, we wouldn't choose this for you. But that was at the start. If I ask them now, it's a complete different story. They see how happy I am, that it is safe, and that the main thing is, like any parents, they want their children to be happy, and they can see the change of me, as from working in an office, sitting in rush hour traffic, getting given 20 days annual leave, to now having this freedom and flexibility in life, which most people strive to achieve, but they're not successful enough.
Ashley,
what does your dad say about it?
Honestly, he loves it. Like, obviously, he doesn't sit watching the videos, but like all my social media, my TikToks, he'll have a look at, and he's just proud seeing how happy I am, how much I've been able to support the family, and it's like it's really changed my life and my family's life. I've got these stamps, and it says like, I slept with Bonnie Blue, I want to sleep with Bonnie Blue and stuff. And like, I was practicing them on my dad, and my dad was like, I need to go to the pub after this, and he's got like stamps all up his arms to say he slept with his daughter.
If the father did that, if that is true, it's weird. It is so weird. Dare I say, it is child SA lurking territory. And if it's not, any other man that thinks that's normal, you may have come from that background. If you want to have a debate with, oh, that's acceptable, you can leave.
We no longer, I'm going to tell you this, we no longer wish to speak to you.
You can see from some of these clips, she's well articulated, calculated, and informed in how she discusses these matters.
I'm not a predator. That's something that's not legal. Everything I'm doing is legal. So spend 5 minutes educating yourself. Anytime there's a hate comment, I use it to promote my next video. Like the current petition to get me cancelled is the promotion for my OF video. The more taboo they're making it sound, the more it boosts me, especially the women saying, oh my God, this girl's content is so out there. It is pushing their husbands and their sons to be more intrigued and want to watch it. It does nothing other than drive my money up, and my bank balance is going through the roof. So honestly, it's more thanks to my subscribers, but thank you to the haters, because you really are making me rich.
Speaking of the haters, what do you say to anyone listening that would still describe you as a predator? What would you say to them?
Google it.
And in my opinion, that to me makes her the most sinister of the two. That to me makes her the most worrying of the two. Now that doesn't make them, they are equally as harmful, but in far different ways. And I think Bonnie is far more aware of what she's doing. This gimmick of barely legal is frightening, and it goes to the most vulnerable people in society that will appeal to this type of content. Yes, the people that are watching are equally to blame. We live in a world where our consumption and our time is now a commodity and can be monetized and manipulated, which brings me to a more overarching opinion of why these people have become so big in the cultural zeitgeist.
Capitalism has morphed into what I call a techno-feudalism.
Techno-feudalism. I know, he's talking economics when he should be talking about 2 women who slept with 100 men. How did I do that? But that's what I do. I like to go big picture. Techno-feudalism, think about it like this. Essentially, it is an idea that is evolved from capitalism.
According to McManahan, Strachan, and Forno, techno-feudalism suggests our preferences are no longer our own. They're manufactured by a machine network. It's underpinned by the theory that the cloud has created a feedback loop that removes our agency. We train the algorithm to find what we like, and then the algorithm trains us to like what it offers.
That essentially means that digital spaces have garnered so much power that it consumes not only our time, our attention, but also our finances are being more and more tied to online spaces. And why feudalism is the term is that it is reserved, and the people that truly profit from it are but a few. Google, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, for example. And in this case, OF. And even with Corn Industries, you have MindGeek, which was the parent company of Cornhub. There's a reason why I'm calling it Cornhub, by the way. You're not. My channel will be viewed by everyone.
You can't cancel none of us. It's up, boy.
Post edit clip, guys. Sorry, the audio on my video, the original video, just went crazy. It was that thing, and it was annoying. So we're here. The clip you would have just seen would have been about techno-feudalism, made a little joke about it. Essentially, just to simplify it, if you didn't get it the first time, we are moving from the system, the financial system that we have now, into a digital system which is controlled by the very few. Hence, because we're moving into a more digital system, people are going more digital, OF, in this example, in order to make more money. You heard this with Bonnie Blue saying that she's happier with the flexibility that this provides and the fact that she doesn't need 20 days anymore. Well, she has more than 20 days holiday, is essentially what she's saying. So she's broken away from the system that we have now. However, what's that got to do with this? I really think it explores and exemplifies society as a whole. We are in a crumbling economy. Gender wars everywhere. Hence something Bonnie Blue plays into.
Such as women are lazy if they're not going to give sex to their husbands, then...
And whether you agree or disagree isn't really the fact. The fact that she can play into this so well. And I do think she has half a point. Don't shoot the messenger. I don't fully agree with her. I just think, can see the angle. Of course, there's more to it.
That's my opinion!
However, she's doing this as a marketing technique. But the fact that she's doing this to garner more attention online is because we are in that awkward transition away from capitalism. And in some ways, it's built up a lot of creativity within these spaces.
222 and accused 63 grams of the Pyrex bowl. Whip it. Slow cook with a flyer on low. Cook that up. I feel like Tony flying this snow. Aye. Chopping that young boy still flying up. Oh.
Check out my friend Sheriff. Go follow him on TikTok. He's hilarious. But you got, in one sense, people being more creative, people being funnier, people expressing themselves more. And in the other sense, people doing more and more to stand out. And then you have Bonnie Blue, who has a way of co-opting and kind of playing into altruism, saying it's educational, it's ethical corn, which, I mean, again, I've said it earlier.
It's kind of slutty.
Wow. Just wow that that's being entertained. Why it's important for me to bring up the techno-feudalism aspect of this is because looking at it from a big picture point of view understands that the erosion of our economy, the erosion of everyday life in society is breeding this kind of behavior more and more and more. People are becoming more and more extreme in how they garner attention because they're becoming disillusioned to the everyday life that is presented. And me sitting here saying, oh, why can't she just do this, do that, doesn't actually fully understand the context in which a Bonnie Blue or Lily Phillips has entered this space. And I do believe the internet is somewhat an unsafe environment. In the case of Lily Blue, who's clearly traumatized, she's not even being interviewed, in my opinion, in any shape of way correctly. I get it is difficult to interview someone who's quite avoidant because for the simple fact that they're avoidant.
I'm Captain Obvious.
I don't mean that in a facetious way. I'm just saying she's difficult to interview, but I don't get the sense that people are trying enough. And I believe the people that are condemning the Bonnie Blues and the Lily Phillips are literally just ho-shame without understanding the context, the men that are watching, the men that are engaging, that plays a big part of it. Although my episode is to focus on them. I do believe too often we've divulged in society into like a point and laugh or point and shame society. You see this with Kanye West and his recent tirades. And me and my friends, we had a little bit of back and forth about it. It was quite heated. It was like 2 a.m. during the Super Bowl with Kanye's just rants. And I just thought at this point, when do we stop laughing? When do we do what Kendrick says, turn the TV off? And even, I don't want to digress too much, but even in the sense of Kendrick, when you look at Kendrick's performance and the criticism, well, look at his actual message of the performance.
The story begins with Samuel L. Jackson playing the role of the government, aka Uncle Sam.
I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue that song.
No, it's been a long fight.
The stage that Kendrick performed on was in the shape of a PlayStation controller, basically insinuating that America is a game, and if you play by the rules, everything will go smooth.
That's what America wants. Nice and calm. Don't mess this.
You know Kendrick is going to break all the rules, so what does he do? Regardless of the defamation lawsuit?
It's been a long fight, and I just had to have a warrior spirit, and that's all.
I find the criticism kind of the problem, and how Bonnie Blues are created and Lily Phillips are created, is that too often people want a distraction. People rather just point and laugh or point and stare at the abnormality than do something about it.
We had Samuel Jackson come on as Uncle Tom, and then obviously the dancers came and the American flag, and then obviously he performed They're Not Like Us. I just thought it was an okay performance. There are a lot of people on the internet who are like, oh my God, you just didn't understand. One thing I cannot stand is fake deepness. I come to watch the Super Bowl to watch a performance. I didn't come to think. I don't want to feel like I'm reading a book. So when I'm seeing, oh, but you did not understand the allegoric significance of when the dancers were wearing blue, and the blue means it signifies the sadness of the American like, I just want to dance.
Now, it's not everyone's responsibility to point or call out misbehaviors. It's not your responsibility. I like to laugh. Right now, I'm watching two ways of Erica, and it's hilarious. It's trash TV, the utmost trash TV. There might be an episode on it, but I can understand the need for trash TV while at the same time criticizing behaviors that have gone extreme. And I think, and I would argue actually, that the Lily Phillips, Bonnie Blue scenario, often they're conflating them when clearly Lily is coming from a different place and she's pregnant, expecting a child. I don't know if she's being serious, but if she is, we wish her the best. If she isn't, wow, this is how far people are going to stand out. But all things considered, I'm presuming it's the child is definitely here, and it's definitely hers. I just hope that she knows who the dad is.
Would it be a free slut butt?
I'm being totally serious. She slept with 100 men in a day. She wants to sleep with 300 in a day.
But that's not how the game is played. You can't do that.
Like, how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? It's not hoe shaming. I'm like looking at this at the most logical point of view. I don't think she knows. And if it is what it is, it is what it is. I really do think people just rather point and shame than really sometimes take 1 second to add a little bit of critical thought, discernment. I say it all the time. It's like the internet removes it, and people I know in real life that have it, they don't exercise it often, people in real life that I know that have it, they don't exercise it at the most critical point, which either means to me they're quite disingenuous with it, or like I've been trying to say throughout this episode, people rather just mock her, whether that's to morally condemn her in a black and white way or just laugh at her, than to really dissect how Lily Phillips or Bonnie Blue is created. I'm not gonna say that Bonnie Blue hasn't gone through trauma, because I'm clearly being more fair to Lily than I am to Bonnie. I just think Bonnie's far more calculated, aware, and sinister in her approach, and she herself knows at best that she's playing into something that is potentially dangerous, and at worst is doing something that potentially is illegal. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Cheers to allegations again. Cheers to allegations again.
And just to conclude, so it's very clear, apparently my conclusions aren't clear, that the point of this episode was to highlight that Lily Phillips herself, I believe, is coming from a place of trauma, pain, avoidance, cognitive dissonance. I mean, you name the big word if I really know what they mean, and you put it there. She is very avoidant of her emotions and her inability to confront anything from her past, even with that spray interview. She does not want to talk about herself too much, and I wish that someone had allowed her to at least express it so we can so we can at least know the woman behind the 100 men. I don't think we've got that, and it's a real shame because when you look at her from a distance, and I'm only judging from a distance, I'm not a behaviour expert. I see it quite kind, but maybe very naive and unaware of how she's abusing her body, woman. And it's a shame because you can't do this for 10 years. Sorry, she's what, 23? At 33 in the corn industry, you're considered old. You're not old in the real world, but in the corn industry, you are old. You're a vet. You can't do this forever. And sometimes, without trying to shame the corn industry or the sex industry, like, what's your long-term plan? For real. People mock Shark for his interview years ago now with Blue Jasmine when he was saying,
they get older, they gonna see what they done created.
But that's like
a bunch of little thief mongrels that don't even, listen to me, that's just looking to just get by. You told everybody, you never told not one person how to go get a business from that, how to really go and make some real net worth from this. You told them how to get a cell phone and a car.
Have a plan, because everything you're saying when you're speaking online can potentially influence someone, and you're not their parent. But the fact that either as an interviewee or as an interviewer, you're not addressing a long-term plan, a thoughtful plan, because you can't do this forever. What, you're going to be sleeping with 1,000 men, 10,000 men? When does the number stop? When does the extremity stop? And that's the thing with techno-feudalism. What I was trying to say is that because we're awkwardly transitioning out of capitalism, people don't know, there is no structure to how online spaces work. What we do know is that this content, even mine today, so I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, funnels into a few companies that will profit off it. And I wish we would discuss the context more and understand that Lily is clearly coming from a place of pain. And in the case of Bonnie Blue, if I haven't made myself clear, I don't rate her. She may be coming from a place of pain. If her dad is really doing that thing with the sticker, weirdo. But we need to call out their behaviour more, and I really do believe that behaviour ain't called out because of, I'm not gonna say it, but
not the epitome of white privilege.
That's why it's not being called out, and she's clearly very predatory in her behaviour. If not naively with her marketing, I really think it's deliberate with her marketing. Sorry guys, the battery died. This has been mental. I'm ticked.
I'm pissed.
Yeah, Burke, you want to...
But essentially, there's a level of accountability that we need to put on not just the women who are creating this, but the men getting involved, the people watching. Understanding the societal context prevents this happening again. The nuances, the details, the devil is in the detail, prevents it from happening again. I hope it made sense. If it didn't, put into the comments. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And when you see madness, maybe turn the TV off. I'm out.
You're the hoe no more. I don't really got nobody in the last like 2 or 3 years.
She said no more.
Don't say no. No, your wholeness can get deleted. Your